Hello and welcome to the Function Builder demonstration. The Function Builder allows a user to create custom spreadsheets which dynamically update as new information becomes available. Before using the Function Builder, develop the skeleton of the template first. Alternatively, you may have an existing template which you want to make dynamic. So I'll construct a skeleton template, adding in my tickers inside row 3, IBM Dell, elements of importance, revenue, COGS, and for some visuals, I'll insert a graph, and I'll go to the I-Metrix and click on Function Builder. Now what appears is primarily a blank template. Inside the company, you can put two different elements. You can put a company ticker or you can use a cell reference. If I type in IBM inside the company and press enter, notice at the bottom that it says function. IBM is hard-coded inside the ticker argument. I would be able to write this function inside a cell, but this does not make our function as flexible as it can be. Preferably you want to use a cell reference. So if I type inside E3 and press enter, this is going to pull all the elements that IBM could possibly be reporting. So now there's a couple ways that we can look for elements. The element of interest is revenue. We can use the drop down and go to the section of interest, and this time it's the income statement. You can click on revenue and locate the item. Alternatively, we have a search bar here that you can type in revenue, press enter, and it'll take all the elements that are associated with that value. Now notice there's a left-hand pane and a right-hand pane. The left-hand pane is used mostly for navigation. Any elements with a folder beside it are not actually elements, they're just placeholders. Any of the ones encoded that are highlighted in black, those are the actually elements that we can choose. There are a fair amount of elements here, some reported by IBM and some not reported by IBM. But they could possibly be reported by IBM because IBM reports as an operating company. Operating companies report inside a following method: revenue, cost of goods sold, SG&A, net income, versus banks, which have a very different structure: interest income, non-interest income, net revenue, etc. But at the bottom of the pane is a parent element, which all the elements fall under: revenue. We have an associated definition, a function call. Once we've selected the element of interest, we can use our duration selection. Annual is going to extract the data from the annual reports. Quarterly is going to be from the most recent or the quarterly reports in a 3-month interval for the income statement and cash flow statement, trailing 12-month format, or year-to-date format. I will choose the quarterly duration. Next, we have a selection whether we want to make our function calls dynamic or static. We use a method called fiscal year, fiscal quarter. FY, FQ will represent the current fiscal year, current fiscal quarter. If we want the current fiscal year, previous fiscal quarter, we can choose FY, FQ1. If we want the current year and 3 quarters before, FY, FQ3, etc. Just like we can use that 1, 2, 3 convention for the fiscal quarters, we can do the same for the fiscal year. So if we choose FY1, FQ, this is going to be the previous fiscal year for the same current fiscal quarter. This will ensure that our function calls are dynamic, so when the company brings out a new filing, our information will automatically get updated. Notice this relative icon that you can deselect. This allows us to make a dynamic function call into a static function call. So if I use the drop-down and I want our function call to be hard-coded to 2008, the third quarter, we can see how our function call changes at the bottom here. So we've selected our element. We selected a dynamic function call. We have two ways of inputting the function call inside our spreadsheet. One way is to drag and drop the data point. Another way is to select the cell and click Write Function. The other element of interest that we have inside our spreadsheet is cost of goods sold. We can go through the same method, find cost of goods sold, go on the right-hand pane, go to the bottom of the list and find the parent element, and write that inside the cell. Because we use the cell reference, we can just copy these function calls over and paste them to reference Dell now. Taking a closer inspection of the actual function call that was written, it says equals I-Metrix, bracket, the ticker symbol, comma, the data set that we're using, this is a standardized data set, STD, comma, the specific element of interest, which is operating revenue, comma, the way that we want it displayed, so this is Q for a 3-month interval, comma, for the current fiscal year, comma, current fiscal quarter. Any one of these data elements or arguments can be made relative to a cell. Just jumping inside the function builder one more time. Again, remember, when we select a company, we're pulling the way that the company files. And just a quick mention of the 6 different filing methods that we have inside our system. They're what's called the 6 different taxonomies. We have consumer and industrial, oil and gas, REITs, banks, insurance, and broker-dealer. But really it separates between operating companies, which are approximately 70 to 80% of companies filing with the SEC, and financial companies. Another thing to note is this section called metadata. If you want to add some qualitative information, such as the company's legal name, or maybe it's a period information, you want to know which fiscal year, fiscal quarter that this time period is associated for, we can also add this kind of information to our spreadsheet. Copy this over for Dell. Now I want to change this to Microsoft. We can see the dynamic nature of this template. Yahoo, each of these function calls still retain a right-click option where you can view the properties and go to the source document for verification of the data. Additionally, each one of these function calls works well with Excel functionality. You want to put these function calls in conditional statements. You want to represent them inside a different format, let's say millions. You want to add 2 function calls together. All this can be done inside the same cell. Now you have the tools to design dynamic models such as this template. For more advanced modeling techniques, which utilizes Excel functionality, see the Advanced Modeling module. And also, there's a special section called Excel Fundamentals. Thank you.